Welcome to the studio. This is the follow-up to a YouTube video I just put up about a 5-minute warm-up. Ended up being 10 minutes and so forth. And there was a question about it being quite advanced and so forth. It was for professionals in a situation of they're hurrying to a performance, or they only have a few minutes. They've arrived, they've changed, bang, they got to get on stage. How to cover a quick warm-up and so forth, or just simply in your own practicing. The idea of I want to do a 5-minute broad overview of my playing on the violin, and then go focus on certain things in the repertoire or certain things in your own technical studies. This warm-up will be more based toward a basic level. A younger student, a less advanced student, and so forth. It really is basically the same thing. It just won't go as high in the strings and the shifts and so forth, and its complex patterns initially, okay? So what I'm going to do is, again, we would tune up, and tuning is part of practicing. The big part of warming up too is the mind. Don't let yourself just put the violin up and the bow up and, oh, I'm playing. No, that's not playing. That's just making noise with a bow and an instrument. What you want to think is, okay, I want my A string. I want to put down the bow in a specific way. And D and G together. So I'm going to run this kind of parallel in terms of kind of studies I did in the warm-up. Okay, so I'll be looking at my computer screen to make sure I'm kind of on track here. So the first thing was this open strings, okay? So I might turn to I put down page 2, it's supposed to be page 4 and 5 in my book if you're using it, but it's just open strings. And in number 5, I'm doing 2 strings. Then I go to a single, and while I traverse across the strings to the next 2. And there's a little lightening up. Note of where my bow is traveling on those strings, the point of contact, or sometimes people call it the lanes, like highway lanes, car lanes, okay? So we move the bow around. That's based on the sound we want, and also the weight and the balance, the amount of hair, the string length, all those factors come into it, how we play. So I'm playing like an easy forte, nice, comfortable warm-up. And just make sure that string crossing to leave the D string. You only have the A and E. Then come in here. So as I crescendo a little bit, I'm coming near the bridge and sinking in. Then coming back again. So that's a little study. And number 6 is basically the same, but it doesn't have the single string in between, which of course we want to play on single strings too. So, but this will help with chords, and it'll just help to delineate the planes more clearly of that, so slower strings, than going to the middle strings. Notice I slightly release. I'm not stopping, but you can to get the playing. Gentle pulsing through like that. And the string change right in the upper arm like that. And it is okay to lift. Make your change and hover, look at your strings, and then put the bow down on 2 strings. Favor the lower string a little bit. I kept my left hand right up here against the shoulder. I'm just touching the bottom edge of the violin shoulder. Real easy. It's a more relaxed position to be in, keeping your posture up. Don't warm up down here, okay? And then just the general idea of running. For instance, in the same study, I've got single strings. You just work on the string crossing like this. You can just remind yourself, your arms, your muscles, your muscle memory. kinetic memory or whatever now they call it and all that type of stuff. So it's like, okay. But you're training using the feel of your muscles, your nerves, your mind, of course. And directing all the moves. Skip strings, different parts of the bow. May even do a lip. And slowly those little moves like that over the strings. Okay, now I have to move on because we're supposed to keep this kind of short. Okay, then the next thing I did was an octave slide. If it's too high, go to your highest position or any position. You might just say, I want to just do first and third position, okay? Maybe you haven't shifted yet, and you could say, I'll take a tissue paper. This could be for a young student, but also an adult learning. Just put a tissue paper in your hand and go around the violin like that. And just slide with your fingers and thumb. Very easy. There's no friction. If your hand's a little sticky, you won't have that trouble. You just slide up and go up there and come back down. Don't press hard. You'll tear up the tissue paper. And you want to keep it last a little bit longer, okay? So you're going here, and I'm just going to the end of the finger where I can actually feel right there. I start to do a little bit of rosin in my fourth finger up here underneath, and there'd be a little rosin there. That's it. If you're going to shift that high, I would sometimes say recommend just wiping it off a little bit like that, and then coming up again and going in there like that. You can play. It'll just work its way out and so forth, and you just pull it away like that. Now notice, I'm going to do this again. I am going to lift my fingers just a little bit, okay? All four fingers are down. I'm going to just release the pressure. That's all we do. And that's enough. I can feel the third finger tickling the string a little bit, so I'll just come off a fraction of a millimeter, okay? And my thumb, you can see the paper, the tissue paper, the thumb is there with the neck. But look how easily I can move this. I'm holding the violin up like this, and I just pull it out without tearing it. Now, if your hand's a little sweaty and you get a little moisture in the towel, in the tissue, I suppose it might tear a bit. But that's how lightly I hold the violin, okay? Very lightly. It's just being supported on the collarbone, or if you're using a shoulder rest, it's on your shoulder rest. It's a rest, not a gripper, okay? So it just sits there like this. And you say, okay, here's my collarbone. Here's my jaw going over the top of the chin rest. Hopefully you don't have a flat chin rest. Those can be pretty fatal. I'm adamantly opposed to flat chin rests, okay? If you need a shorter chin rest, still have some type of ridge that your jawbone goes over. So it's like my little pinky is here, go like this, and going like that, okay? So there's no shoulder touching in here. You gotta put my hand in there. You can see with the light cloth that there's space here, hopefully. And that you can see that, and I'm going like this, and just, oh yeah, and I can push down the fingers hard. Now I'm pressing way too hard. And I'm going like that, shifting first to fourth position with a lot of pressure. My little pinky can hold this violin. There's no pressure down on it. It's just a little wall, a barrier from keeping it. So a chin rest that has a little bit of a ridge. This happens to be what they call a Strad model, and it's been modified. I have had it tilted a little bit here to give a little more rise this way, because that's our jawline. And one time this broke on me when I was conducting a student. I just had it under my arm, and there was a big chord in Sibelius. I boom like that to guide them and conduct them, and the chin rest snapped. Thought it was the violin, but it was all okay. And I always wanted to chop some of that wood off that I never used. And right away I could hear the violin better. It wasn't like a baffle directing the sound away from me where it comes way in here. And it's lighter. Why not? I don't use it. It's just there. That's all I do. But that's an optional thing. You see a lot of chin rests are huge here and people are putting them this way. It's really supposed to be this way, center mounted, okay? And adjust it. It won't be perfectly flat, but it'll be quite flat. I'm digressing, but these are really, really important things for playing. Aside from notice the order, the bow, the violin, the chin rest. That's, I would say, order of priorities. Yeah, we all want to have a great violin. Violins tend to cost more money, but the bow is really an important aspect of it, okay? The actual tool itself. And then, of course, our instrument and string combinations, so are but then the chin rest, and then the shoulder rest. So based on what you have with the chin rest and all that, again, I'm digressing, but this is a video one can flash ahead on, okay? So we're just doing this idea of shifting, where you can do any size shift. Little half seven. And sometimes just do a shift, goes anywhere. And if you're not used to shifting high, don't worry about it. Just stay in these lower positions and just barely touch the violin. It'll be about fourth position. So you're going anywhere. Now my fingers are very light. I have all three down. 4. They're very light like that. And then I might put a little pressure, just barely feel the fingerboard. A little hard to play twisted like that. But that idea, okay? So that just kind of gets you acclimated. If you go into specific notes, always name your notes. When I did the open strings, I would be thinking G-D to a D string, to a D. Warm up your mind, get the mental juices going constantly, okay? So that's that shifting idea, and so you can take every finger. So I had done the idea of, okay, shifting with different hand groups. So let's say I had a beginning hand group, whole step, half step, whole step, just like a G major scale. And I took those notes, shifted. Same hand group. Now I'm not playing by key, I'm playing by pattern, finger pattern. There. Anywhere you slide. Identify a note, that's a D. 2, 3C to my F. So I'm just going to the same notes. So that was the first position up to a fourth position. Just cycling through the hand group sequence of whole step, half step, whole step, beginning hand group, starting hand group, okay? And I would just do the shift, and the object there is to shrink up your hand towards your fourth finger. So when I'm sliding with 1, there's nothing to shrink up per se, the hand does get smaller. Actually it is the one reaching up a little towards the 4, okay? The 4 is not down, but it still can be closing in that direction like that. So there is a bit of that move up there. And a little of this pullback coming away from 4. So it's the right size, the right interval size. And same with the other ones. And then you just go to another position. You say, well, I'll start with a second position maybe. So maybe I'll take F or F sharp, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm going to go with an F, okay? And I'm going to say open hand group. So I'm as if I'm in the key of C. There's my C tonic. So that's the F, that's the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I'll shift to where my 3 is. I'm only going to lower positions, so I'll just do that. Now again, I could hold the key and do a beginning hand group, but I'm going to stay with the open hand group. I'm concentrating on a certain pattern in the hand to work on, and that's part of my warm-up. I might also do a vibrato warm-up, like balancing the hand. Same motion with concentrating on the arms portion and the fingertip pulse, flexing, like that. Notice my hand is free. Notice this part right here with the 1 is sliding on the neck, touching it like a feather. No gripping. If the violin goes like this, you know you're doing it wrong. It comes. Back to my F. Now I can throw off the sense of key, which is a challenge in it, that you can play and go to certain notes. Again, you would name every note, correct? You would say in your mind F, G, A, and B. Shifting up to my A, I would play it again for a guide pitch and slide my 1F to that A. These are ways of working it. And you can do different strings, of course, in different positions. I'll move on because I'm trying to keep this as short and succinct, but it's like an intense mini violin lesson. Do this, 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 this. And of course, with video and audio, you can always listen to this again if you have the patience to put up with me. Then I also did the minor arpeggio slide. So again, now let's assume you're doing, even if only a shifting to third position, all right? You've just begun shifting. and very commonly will be done that way. We do first to third and so forth. You might also want to consider hitting the even positions right away too. But, so then I'm going to go to the A string. And I'm going to do a minor arpeggio slide. Well, minor arpeggio, it starts off with a minor third, a step and a half. So that's that beginning hand group. 1, B, C sharp 2, D 3. I shift up that. That is a minor third. So now I'm in third position. I just go back and forth. Very smooth shifts. Everything moves together. It's a coordination of the arm, the complete arm. Okay? It's like a fan opening and closing like this. All right? This stays the same in these lower positions. We're not going over the top of the violin. So I can just maintain the angle of the hand to the angle of the string and fingers. So I'm like that. There's very minute moves in the wrist and the elbow and shoulder too. They're very small moves. In fact, they're hard to feel. They're so small, but they're there. So if somebody's go away from the violin. By the way, don't normally do this. I always say put your violin down and do this. Just get free. Roll your pendulum of your arm, your tick-tock, and then this idea like that. Okay, and it's like you have an open fist, and you're just shaking it like that or pointing it to something. And it's a specific side. I'm not going like this. I'm not going like that. I'm holding a position in the back of the hand or the palm, you can say the side of the fourth finger base. Keep that position as you go. And you'll see the joints change. Okay? That idea. Maintain your hand for those first 4 positions. You're just here. Hand size might affect it a little bit. And string selection affects it. We'll touch the violin shoulder sooner on the G string than we will on the E string and go up higher there and still be easily over that string, depending on hand size, okay? So it's the minor arpeggio. That. And if I take my 2 there, play my hand group, my intervals, so the beginning hand group I went back to. Then I'll go 2, so we're 4 with you. Where was there? 2, C sharp, E. And remember, a shifting action is a vibrato action. Especially the downshift, back up. That is that. So let me do a shift and slowly squeeze a little extra with the fingers. And the hand will focus in like that. And at first, if it goes anywhere, doesn't matter where you go, except your ear's going to go like, oh, this is out of tune. But you want to have the sense of, where is my hand? And I control its range. And I say, okay, the finger now can't slide. When we vibrate, we don't slide the fingers. We're rolling it. There's one little exception to that. Say up high, where you want your 4th finger to sound like the 2nd finger vibrato. There's a little sliding we sometimes do. See, I'm there, and I want a little more of this. I'll go like this. That little slide action, shift action, can give it a great vibrato. It's not always just the finger. It can be that, but if you want to widen it, you need a little movement in the finger touch. Thirds in major. Now, perhaps you've never done thirds. Shame on you. Why not? In my book, it's on page 34. And I'll turn to it just so I play exactly what the page is. I've done it so many different ways. But, it's a training thing. It's like doing your scales. It's like doing an arpeggio. It's like doing anything with your fingers. All you're doing is putting fingers on 2 different strings, okay? It's not a big deal. As I tell my kids, it's just black spots with a bunch of lines on the page. All you have to do is put your fingers on those spots, like little chess moves, or even checkers. Sometimes it's easier like that. So you're going here with a B flat. I'm in the key of B flat major, 2 flats, B flat and E flat. So there's a B flat. I would train with a training of the hand by hitting it several times. And I would add my 1. And that's an E flat. By the way, you name every note. B flat, T, B flat, E flat. Add the E flat. You hear it in comparison with the open D. So all I'm doing is the B flat major scale, like this, with the 1 going across. Now if I keep my 3/4 down, I now have thirds. 2 returns. doing it first in your warm-up and you're naming every note, you are progressing at a very good pace, okay? The mind, you must keep the mind active. You must not be looking out the window, as nice as that can be sometimes on a pretty day, but just focus in what you're doing. If you get distracted by activities that you're in an area that's very busy, people walking by, I'm by a college, so sometimes I actually will close the blinds on the side of my studio where I would see people walking by, because it's a distraction. So I just close them like I've got the blind there behind me closed. And there's no sidewalk there, but there's neighbors and kids playing sometimes and so forth. And I don't want the distraction. So I'll just put myself into a cocoon and when I really want to focus and so forth, okay? And so that's okay to do. Give yourself, or somebody just simply turn your back to the windows so you can't see, you can't be distracted by what's going on. Focus, mental focus is got to be so, it does have to be so keen that you just increase your capabilities of that kind of focus, all right? Name the notes, name the strings, name the positions, name the intervals you're shifting. Go slow enough that you can do it. You don't have to name everything all the time, but as you name more, it will become automatic. When I shift up and I know I'm playing thirds in the key of B flat, I know it's a B flat D, a C E flat, a D F. I'm going to raise my 1 to an E natural, so I have C E natural. That's in preparation for the shift up, which is a different hand group. This was all whole steps in my hand. Up here, it's a step and a half in the hand for the major third. That's another thing, okay? If you do the math, you'll figure it out that when you play thirds, the major third's 2 steps. Those notes on one string are 2 steps. But because we're tuned in fifths, it's a different measurement when you play them together. Right here to there. Now it's a step and a half in the hand. So, like that. I'll turn and hopefully that'll show up on here a little bit. The closeness of that. So the 2 gets into the tunnel of 3. So let's say you've never played thirds, all right? And you really train them. You've had maybe few notes in a piece of music, which can be fatal. But now you're trying to actually train them. Just start off with the first position. Any hand group you want. Identify, therefore, what the key is you're playing by noting, okay, are there any sharps or flats that I'm playing and so forth, all right? And then you just kind of, again, challenge your mind. Think. Puzzle it out. It really is well worth it, okay? I have to move ahead. I know. So, okay, that's the thirds. And then I did the octave slides with a minor arpeggio. Again, well, that would be taking your first finger. Say we did the B before. Here's what I did. And I could take my B there. Well, why not play the 4 on the A string? Now I've got an octave. I base it on beginning hand group. Some people will do a high 3. I think the beginning hand group is a little better because it rotates the hand. Better for the 4th finger. High 3 tends to elongate and kick this out. But both are good. I would say if you're used to the high 3, keep it. You're going to want to eventually do all of them. A beginning hand group, a high 3 group, and a low 2 group. All of those. So I'll base it on beginning hand group. So I keep those intervals. So I just play B, G sharp, A, B. Now you actually have a major 6, a minor 7, and an octave. Would you have told yourself that? Probably not, okay? But educate your ear, identify your pitches. And then I'm going to go to D. If I'm not sure of the sound of it, I can play it open D, but it's easier to hear the actual interval I'm sliding. You can take your fingers off and do that, or you can keep them and put 3 across, which is trickier. Make sure it matches. You're on your way to doing your octaves in slides. Your 1-4 octaves. So the traditional octave we do the most. That would just simply be the next one. So that's the minor arpeggio. B, D, F sharp, B. You try it with the octave on top. When that's good, you shrink up the 1, 2, 3 towards 4. You expand them down. When you're ready for the next one, it would be a high 3 in here in the hand, which is 2 whole steps. Major third, D. So I play D, E, F sharp. Then go up to that pitch. You can just hear the 1 string and check your 4. You can do it with this one, up the octave of this, and check your 1 or both. And in fact, practice all 3. That would be first, third, and fifth position. When that's good, this is more than just a warm-up now. What I'm obviously doing is giving you a mini lesson that you take into the future. I hope it helps you. I hope you enjoy this. If not, it's okay, just turn it off and go listen to somebody else. I'm totally cool with that, okay? So you're here, and you say, okay, now the next one will be a fourth. That's that F sharp B. F sharp B. And now you're in eighth position. As they say, it's not rocket science, it's just mathematics and measurements and geometry, certainly is geometry, how you move and relate your fingers and all the angles we have to play, okay? And then after doing that kind of thing, I did different positions. Oh yeah, I did a diminished arpeggio. Now diminished arpeggio is complex, which is why I took it to warm up. There's a lot of moves in the hand where I'm doing a beginning hand grip like this when I start, then I lower my 2 and lower the 1. Now that's B, C, D. Went to an F natural 2. I would rep it through. It's much more efficient practice. Gives you your action and your shape. You can think and maneuver. Then you bring your 1 across and up in there. That's a tricky move, okay? You could actually start with B by having this B on the A string. Keep the 1 down. Then you already have it there. Take that 3 across. Notice there's a big pivot, big pendulum of the arm. There's also a little rotation here in the hand. From that to this tucking around. Very turned and rotated clockwise. Okay? Sorry to open up the head. Like that. The way I built it in the book is I'll play exactly what it is again so that I don't want to confuse people any more than I probably already am. I know I talk a little fast. I'm also in a hurry. I've got a clock to my head here too. So F2, A, C, A flat, then my B1. Again, I can have that 1 down from the beginning. The octave, B, B, that makes it easier. For this, you've already got it in your hand. Make sure the B matches or blends with an open E as a perfect fourth. B, E, like that. So I've got that. Then F, D. The F I kept. So you just do 2 strings. Even just that. Adding that. Or you stop. And master that. Beginning hand grip like this with just 2, 3, 4. Then I lower my 2. And then I lower my 4. Just mini lesson on diminished arpeggios. You're just going down by half steps with a bunch of minor thirds. Okay? So that's a minor third. This is the minor third too. But again, we're tuning in fifths, so that 1 opens back. So it becomes 2 steps temporarily. Then you drop your 3. That move, I'm doing all 1, 3, so you see how it progresses. And it walks back up. Now, normally for convenience, we exchange our fingers. So whatever part of that you're doing, say you're just doing, I'll go back to the key of B flat, which I did with thirds, and I'll say I want to do a B flat arpeggio. Okay, I'm warming up on that. I know that I'll do it on the other strings. So if I start with B flat, I go to F, up 1 string, up a 5th, I'm transposing. And I do the same thing on the D and A string. F, G, A, C. You just get comfortable with that. And then do the top strings. C, name everything you do. I'm in C major, D, E, G. I do a little scale start. That's the proportion of your hand. So when you play 3, it won't be down, but it has a position in the air. Then it's ready for scales, ready for arpeggios, ready for thirds, ready for many, many things, okay? So this has gone way beyond the idea of a 5-minute warm-up. But you take snippets of this, and you just do it for 5 minutes, okay? Obviously 10's better, and 20 and 30 and 40 and 60. But do what you can do. and use it as not just a physical warm-up of your hand and your bow and so forth, but the mind, the mind, the mind. You must be saying things. You must be saying notes. You must be identifying it. At first, it can be very, very confusing to do this. It's a lot of multitasking, okay? But you do it in little stages. If you name a couple notes a day, you'll start to name more, and it gets easier and easier. It's like reading music. Name those notes, especially the notes above the clef, above the staff. That you're able to just go and realize that, oh my goodness, it's the same as my first position. So when I do my 1-3s here, I did all naturals, 1-3 across, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, F natural that is, and A. Could have been F sharp, okay? Those notes, once I get to this A, going up, they're the same letters again. It all repeats. We only have 7 letters. If you're younger and you haven't learned to read music yet, start. Naming notes is simply an alphabet A, B, C, D, F, G. And if you start with your G string, you have G, A, B, C, D. And that D is also an open string. D, E, F, G, A. I'm just keeping it natural, so I'm the equivalent of C major. Okay? And then this A repeats. A, B, C, D, E. E, F, G, A, B. How hard is that? At first it is very difficult. And so you just get used to saying it, used to doing it. And I have to go. This is very rushed. I apologize. And it's way longer than I initially was going to do. But I wanted to explain more because I'm a teacher. That's what I do. Okay? So hopefully this has helped you. If you have any more inquiries, don't hesitate to let me know. This is actually being done because of an inquiry. I can't always take this time to do it. It's quite time consuming, and I've got to edit it and put it into the computer and so forth and upload it. But it's quite a task. But to be frank with you, I love doing it. I love teaching. So it's cool. You can also check out my website, and there's a lot of teaching videos that are now out there on my book. If you are interested, I would love for you to give it a try. Let me know your thoughts. They are being purchased around the world, so people are liking them, much to my amazement and pleasure and honor. Because for people to accept my teaching methods and go from there and grow is a great privilege as a teacher to give to you. So God bless. Take care. Hope to hear from you, and hope this helps. Okay. Bye bye.